Thank you so much, Auntie Sylvia. Always a pleasure. Greetings to everybody for coming through and being part of our call this morning. We are continuing on the topic of quantum leaping, and we're looking at barriers to taking a quantum leap in life. Specifically, we're in the fifth barrier. I've run through those barriers enough times, but for this, there's always new people coming on the call. So for the sake of those new people, let me just quickly run through them. The first barrier is that 95% of our daily behavior is automated by our subconscious mind. The second barrier is that our conscious mind is the creative mind, and so only runs 5% of the time that we're operating. Not to mention the fact that it doesn't have enough absorptive power. Number three, positive speech and self-help is not enough. It doesn't matter how much you confess positively and call on the name of whoever you call on the name of. If you do not have the right beliefs inside of you, it will mess you up. Number four, we are products of our environment. The environment is very powerful. Last week, I spoke about this in a profound way. I said that the environment contains four key things: models, words, actions, and culture. I also mentioned that your subconscious mind has four things in it: beliefs, morals, and ethics. In fact, morals and ethics is a big one with the beliefs, and then behavior, and then personality traits or character. So these are the subconscious mind. So today we are continuing on change the programming at subconscious level. We are showing you that if you do not deal with this, it is practically impossible to see anything significant happen in your life. You have to go into the subconscious mind where the elephant is sitting. And for those of you who may not have heard me say this before, the subconscious mind is the elephant in the room. It's so massive, it controls everything. Your conscious mind is like a monkey on top of that elephant. It has completely no control over where the elephant wants to go. Your subconscious mind is, for lack of a better word, the master in charge. The subconscious mind is your strong man. The subconscious mind is the strong fellow in the building. And the Bible says, unless you first bind the strong man, you cannot have control over the house. Many people, that's where your problem is. Within the subconscious mind, and the conscious mind is something that cognitive scientists call the RAS, or Reticular Articulation System. It's actually located in the back of your brain. And this RAS filters everything that you recognize based on what you programmed from the environment: words, beliefs, behaviors, role models. Remember that? So this environment has complete control over what you see. I'll give you a very good example. The other day, I was having my car fixed, and so I had to move it from where I normally park it and put it in one of the sheds and shelters that are here where we live. Now, what is so interesting is over 7 different people came to the house, and not a single one saw the car. Everyone who got in said, Rev, where's your car? And I was like, look outside. They said, no, it's not there. I said, just look properly outside. They look, oh, it's in the shed. Now, the funny thing is the shed is right there. It's very visible. But because they were used to walking in, and when they walk in, they see the car at a certain place, the mind starts to treat that as the norm. So when there's a change in the programming, most people miss it. This is a very common phenomenon. We call it cognitive blindness. Ladies and gentlemen, cognitive blindness is very real. You can only see that which you are experienced to see. If you have not experienced something before, it is invisible. And when I say invisible, it doesn't mean it's not there. It's there, but you just won't register it. And that's the idea behind why when you admire a particular car, all of a sudden you see it everywhere. When you buy a certain type of vehicle, all of a sudden you see everybody has a vehicle, but it's always been there, but you just did not see it. It was invisible. And this invisibility is one of the greatest barriers to progress. That's why when we talk in Africa about mindset change, we sound like we're over-emphasizing this. But I can tell you, myself, Auntie Sylvia, Dr. Nelly, and all of us have been singing about this issue of mindset, because you can only, let me say this slowly, and I want you to type this down actually, because I'm learning this from Auntie Sylvia. Type this in the chat, both on Facebook as well as on here on Zoom. Type these words: you can only see that which you want to see. Just type that. You can only see that which you want to see. So if your mind is tuned in a particular way, you will only see what your mind permits you to see. And the funny part is this, the RAS that actually does that, the Reticular Activation System. This is the one that causes you only to see that which you want to see. So if you do not want to see it, in fact, put it this way, if your mind has not been ready for it, it'll not even register. It'll be invisible for all intents and purposes. That's the reason why it's so important that if you want to achieve a certain level of life, you must go and purposefully put yourself in that environment so that you become cognitive to the opportunities that that environment brings. Because the opportunities are always there, but we are cognitively blind to them. Strange but true. We are cognitively blind to them. So today I want to talk about the two states of life. Very powerful teaching. I learned this mainly from Dr. Joe Dispenza. And these two states of life are critical to your cognitive ability to see or not to see. Now, this is powerful. I'll say it again. These two states of life are so critical to your ability to see or not to see. It was Shakespeare who said, and I quote, "There are none as blind as those who won't see." Not who can't see, but who won't see. They see, yet they do not perceive. They hear, yet they do not understand. This is the words that Jesus used about parables. It says, I speak these parables because they are hidden from the normal people. I only let them be open and understood to those who are in the kingdom. But to those who are outside the kingdom, I keep them this way. They remain blind. So they are blind. They look, but they do not see. I remember Miles Monroe says, eyes that look are common, but eyes that see are rare. Remember, we talked about the 4 types of sights: plain sight, hindsight. This is a cognitive issue. A lot of people operate in these two, the plain sight and hindsight. They use what they see to determine what they need to do. They use what they experience to determine how they proceed. So they are always bound by what they see with their eyes and what they experience from the past. There's no worse type of vision than that. But the real vision you and I need to be striving for is foresight, meaning seeing into the future, things that are not there yet. So it's in the spiritual mind. It's in the mind of the ethereal plane. It's in your other realm of reality. It's not here. You look at something and you have foresight that if I do this and this and this, then I can prevent that or I can achieve that. That's called foresight. Seeing into the future on something that's not visible, that's not there. And I think there's a very well-known saying, if you can see the invisible, you can achieve the impossible. That whole idea of seeing the invisible and achieving the impossible comes from this state of cognitive sight. You look into something and you see it, and it's not there, and you know it's possible, and you begin to operate. And then the 4th kind of sight is insight. Insight is where you now glean the pluses and the positives out of this given situation. This type of sight is very profound. It only comes from those who are cognitively alert. If you are not cognitively alert, you cannot see these things. They will not register. They will be completely invisible. That's why David walks into the field, finds Goliath screaming his head off, insulting the entire army of Israel. Everybody's freaked out. Nobody's moving. David goes, I can beat this uncircumcised Philistine. How dare he insult the armies of the living God? You see, David came from another paradigm. He came from another state of mind. He was not operating at the level the others were because they were operating in a place of what they have seen in their past, what they experienced with the sky. So they were psychologically defeated. When Muhammad Ali, the days when he was Cassius Clay, when he used to be Cassius Clay, he used to make so much noise. I watched so many documentaries around Muhammad Ali. I'm a fan of history. And I was just watching how this young 21-year-old young man took on a guy that everyone, and I mean everyone, said he is going to be killed on the ring. Sonny Liston was a monster by all definition. This guy had a punch that knocked people out in 2-3 punches. But this Muhammad Ali, this small loudmouth boy from Louisville, Kentucky, dared this guy, and he would sing and make noise. And you know, when he got onto the thing where they weigh them and the press conference, I mean, he sang and made so much noise. You know, you'd even laugh and say, even Liston laughed because he looked at this small boy and just said, I'll kill him. When I get him in the ring, I will kill him. But you know, one thing that was amazing about Muhammad Ali is even when he got on the ring, this guy had so much confidence. He exuded so much confidence that state of mind put him in a very different level. And you know, that for me is the biggest factor. Tony Robbins, all the great experts tell you that the greatest battle for any kind of competition is here. The highest and most biggest battle is here in the mind. When you see it in your mind and you gain insight from your mind, then the physical is just a reaction to what you see. So let's go back to these 2 states of mind. They are very important, and I'm going to introduce them, and then we're going to go through both over the next couple of lessons. So the first one is the survival and stress state of mind. And then the second one is the creation and peace state of mind. So I want you to write those down because, again, I've learned that, you know, writing these things, people really, it registers at another level when you write, you know. So the first one is what? Survival and stress. The second one is what? Creative and, peace. Yeah, creative and peace. So survival and stress, creative and peace. Survival and stress, creative and peace. These are 2 very different states of mind. And let me show you how different they are. But I've stressed it before and I want to stress it again. These states of mind have everything to do with your capacity and ability to be cognitively alert. And if your mind is tuned to survival and stress, everything that's going to happen in your life will be filtered by this state of mind, survival and stress. Just the name itself should say a lot. If your mind is tuned in the creation and peace state of mind, then what will happen is everything will come through that filter. And I tell you, there's a huge difference when it comes to how you go on to do things in your life. So let's look at what exactly survival and stress is. People who operate in the survival and stress state of life and mind tend to access negative resources consistently. Listen to that statement again. I'll say it because this is so important. Some people think they're under a curse. People think they're under some kind of negative vibes and some demons or whatever. But I can tell you with certainty, listen to me, with certainty, over 80 to 90% of cases, and I think I can say that with authority, have nothing to do with demons. They have to do with this state. They access a lot of negative resources because they're in a survival and stress state of mind. And these negative resources lead to very aggressive and harmful lifestyles. Okay? Here are the lifestyles that these people operate in. This is the kind of lifestyle they operate with, and it actually does terrible things to them. And I'm going to mention them slowly because I want you to take note of these. These are profound. Number 1, they compete. They keep, everything is about competition. For them, they feel they must compete. Number 2, they fight. So whenever anything shows up, because they're in this survival and stress state, they fight. Everything is about a fight. And then number 3, this is another very interesting one. Even with parents, bosses, sorry to say, even a number of clergy, they operate in this space, politicians, a lot of people operate in this space because they compete and because they fight all the time, they manipulate. So they will use everything in their arsenal to manipulate situations. All right. And then number 4, they work or try harder. They are very hardworking and they use a lot of brute force. Anywhere where force can be used, they will use it. So you see, on top of manipulating, where possible, they'll even use force. And you've seen this even in relationships, in marriages, in business relationships. There are people who actually use brute force. So on top of manipulating, they will use brute force. And lastly, if these four don't work, in other words, if the competing won't work, if the fighting won't work, if the manipulation won't work, if the brute force based on hard work doesn't work, then the last is they hope and wish things will work. So they're big on the hoping and wishing that things will work if the four that I mentioned cannot work. So their focus tends to be outward and toward the environment. So they're very big on the environment. Oh my God, now they've changed government. Oh, what are we going to do? Oh no, now this government. Oh no, now the prices have gone up. Oh no, now this has happened. Oh, they are always focused on the environment. These are the kind of guys who hang on every news that they get. They are the kind of people who follow everything on social media and believe it to be true. I am telling you, these people are in a very bad place. Everything is doom and death. Everything is gloomy. Everything is negative. Everything is bad. Okay? They are always worrying about what they cannot change and letting this stress them. So they are big on, oh, no, I'm sick. Oh, no. You know, they are so freaked out. So like this COVID thing, oh my God, up to now, they're still freaked out. I mean, wherever they go, oh, I think I got COVID now. You know, if they have like a little thing in the, oh, COVID, oh, you know, they're so afraid. And I tell you, you cannot live like that, ladies and gentlemen. You will die very quickly because that's not the way you were created to live. God did not create you to live like this. This stress and survival thing is not for you. Now, let me show you something very interesting about stress and survival. When it comes to stress, and I'll close with it. So in other words, next Monday is when I'll look at the other side of the coin, which is amazing. Now, in stress and survival, where does stress come from? Did you know we have a stress hormone? Yeah, but most people don't know that. They do, or they've forgotten from school. We do have a stress hormone. The stress hormone is called adrenaline. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Adrenaline is your stress hormone. Now listen to how, did God make a mistake to give us adrenaline? Of course not. Let me show you how adrenaline works. Adrenaline is used for three primary purposes in a human being, and pretty much all the animals in the kingdom animals. Number one, adrenaline is used to fight. So what happens? It helps you fight. Number two, it helps you flight, which is, the triple of hormone. It helps you run away. And number three, it helps you freeze. Now, in all these three states, this type of reaction is very important for survival purposes. That's what adrenaline does. So it does these three things: fright, fight, flight. Now, why are they important? Because they help you with survival. But you must remember, they are survival to do with life and death. So literally, you're at a point where you could die. So you need to run. This could make a huge difference between being alive and dying. You need to be able to fight, because this might be the difference in you living and dying. You might be able to do things which you could never have done under normal circumstances, because this is the difference in life and death. I mean, there are stories of people literally lifting a cart to pull a person out because it's their child trapped. Where did that strength come from? Adrenaline. So what does adrenaline do to your blood? Here's what it does. Number one, it dilates your arteries, because it has to allow more blood to pass through faster. That's the first thing it does. Secondly, it dilates your pupils so that you can see more. More light is let in. You can see more things going on at the corners of your eyes. That's what, this adrenaline does. Number three, your heart rate increases. So by pumping your heart faster, blood is supplied everywhere. Oxygen is able to move to more muscles, and then it tenses your muscles. Your muscles become tense. They are rigid, because you're ready to spring into action. You're ready to punch. You're ready to do whatever it is you need to do because of the survival state. Now, this is very important if there's a lion outside, or if there are robbers about to rob you, or something to do with survival. But did you know that when you're stressed in a job you don't like, that's the same stuff that happens? I want you to pause and think about that. If you're in a relationship you do not like, do you know that's the same reactions you have? Now, the body, this is very important. The body is designed to handle this kind of stress for 20 minutes tops. if we stretch it 30 minutes, but the body is not designed to be in that level of stress continually for days on end, for weeks on end. It cannot handle that type of stress. What that does to the body essentially is it begins to cause things to break down. Because adrenaline, you should not be tense all the time. You should not have blood dilated arteries all the time. This actually puts you in a very dangerous state of health. That's why people, you see, you end up getting hypertension and diabetes and all these diseases because you're not supposed to be in that state. Remember, if more adrenaline is being released, guess what else is being released? Glucose. Because the glucose is what will generate the energy in the blood to help you run. Now, if that energy is not burned up by an activity that requires, physical action quickly, that glucose converts to fat. It calcifies in your arteries and blocks your arteries, forming a condition called atherosclerosis. That's why many stressed people have high amounts of fat inside their arteries, which is very strange. It's a condition we call TOFI. Thin outside, fat inside. How is that possible? It's because they are in a constant state of stress. Their blood is producing so much glucose, which is being converted for energy, but then not being used. And so a calcification process takes place, and these then settle around the arteries, narrowing the arteries and leading to a condition called atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is a condition that causes the narrowing of arteries. Blood can't move properly, and it leads to clotting. It's called embolism. The blood being pushed. You see, the muscles want energy, they want oxygen. So remember, this person is in a constant state of stress. So the muscles need oxygen to burn and generate whatever is needed, the energy and whatever. But then the brain is getting a signal that the muscles are not receiving the energy. And so the brain then pushes the blood, the heart, to pump harder so that blood can get to those arteries. Now, in the process, you get something called compacting. It's a kink. A kink in the pipe. When the pipe is narrow and water can go properly, what does that do? We know this from those who garden. If you're a gardener, when you want your water to reach far in a hose pipe, what do? Narrow the opening, and the pressure increases and the water goes further. That's the secret to increasing pressure. You narrow the openings. Now, this is terrible for blood because when the openings are narrow, they create pressure. This pressure pushes back, and all these red blood cells start to compact, and they block that area. Then the heart pushes even harder. Then these two things break into pieces. So tuabene tuja ndiye tuenda blocking arteries in the brain, and you have a stroke, you have a heart attack, and in the worst case scenario, it can go to your heart and it can block an artery in the heart, like the coronary artery. You can have a seizure and an instant cardiac arrest and drop dead. And people wonder, how did he drop dead? This guy was fit, he was exercising. Well, the truth is, was he stressed? Was there something stressing them in their life? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the concept we talk about, the state of stress and survival. Very deadly. Don't you ever think that being in an adrenaline rush is a good thing to live in all your life. And the worst part is that a number of people will then even take caffeinated drinks like coffee to help them stay alert. But the truth is that the caffeine increases your alertness even more by increasing and simulating the effect of adrenaline. And therefore, yes, you get your buzz, but it's worse. These kids nowadays and people who are into energy drinks, that's the worst form, because those energy drinks have serious amounts of caffeine in there, like 10 times the amount of caffeine in coffee. And what does that do? That actually gets you super alert. But remember what I told you about all these conditions going on in your body? You are literally setting yourself up for a heart attack. Literally, I'm not joking. Some of these cardiac arrests going on right now can be traced, and I'm not speaking scientifically, but I have studied a lot about caffeinated drinks, these energy drinks. They can be completely pointed. They point to the caffeinated and these drinks, because those drinks will simulate the sense of alertness that adrenaline does. It's very, very dangerous. So have you seen how harmful, ladies and gentlemen, the state of stress and survival is? Tell me as we close, would this be the kind of state you want to be in? Do you honestly want to live your life stressed like this? I don't think so. But you see, the problem is most people here are afraid. They are afraid to move over to what my friend Bakama Hachunde is saying, the state of creativity and peace. People are afraid to move there because there's quite a bit that it takes to get there. And next week, I'm going to get into describing what this second state is and how you can get there. The sad part is most people, probably a number on this call, unless you've gone through some training with Dr. Nelly and a number, many are very stressed. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong relationship, wrong job, wrong assignments, wrong. Now, in that state, it means you are so not at peace. No wonder the Bible teaches that when you are in the will of God, you have peace. Jesus says, do not be anxious, but lean on me and do not worry, for I have overcome the world. With me, you will have peace. I will give you peace, not as the world gives it. So you see, Jesus' peace is in spite of the crap going on around you. You have this unexplainable, inexplicable peace. You're not stressed. Anytime you see anybody stressed in life, for me, I've always said, anytime you see stress, easiest way to know they are not in God's will. It's not rocket science, God's will. God's will is simple. When you're in his will, the first indicator is his peace. Peace. But when you're not in God's will, no peace. You won't sleep at night. You'll be startled by everything. You are stressed, BP, hypertension, all that stuff is a sign of lack of peace. A sign of lack of peace. And let me close with this. Haven't you come across fat people that live to 75, 80? BP normal, everything. You say, no, they're just, I think it's just how they are. They are just blessed money. They don't have these things in their families. Answer, they have peace. I'm not joking. I'm serious. They have peace. Haven't you come across slim, fit, slender people, and yet they are sick, BP 220 over 140. They even say, how did you get to here? They are stressed. So I close with that. And what I want you to do as we close this is to seriously think about what I've said today. I've been inspired so much by Dr. Nelly and Auntie Sylvia. Next week, I'm launching my coaching platform as well, so that many of you can come on board and be also part of what I'll be offering. I'll give you more details as we go. But ideally, all three of us, Dr. Nelly and Sylvia, myself, in many ways, we are offering keys to begin this journey of self-discovery. This journey of finding out what really is God's will for your life. Because for a lot of people, that's what's messing them up. They are not in God's will. And if you're not a believer in God, let's put it this way, you're not doing what you were put on this earth for. Even if you're an agnostic, at least you can agree with that. Everyone is born with certain abilities that have nothing to do with them. And so you have to find a way. Now, I saw something, I'll close with this. I saw somebody saying, me, I work best under stress. It's true. There are some of us who I work like that as well. But I don't work under stress. Wife is not happy. Money is not coming. No, not that kind of stress. No. I work under stress, which is where deadline needs to be met. This needs to be done. That's coming. Then that environment. But I get a kick out of it because that's how I'm designed. Now, some people are not designed and wired that way. So if you're not designed and wired that way, high pressure environment, then that's not for you. But if you're wired to sort of like thrive under stress, then that's good as long as you're doing what you were called to do. Because if you're doing what you're not called to do, believe me, I don't care whether you operate and love stress, it will mess you up. So you want to be in a place where the stress is actually working to actually magnify your performance. And so from myself and everybody from our team, thank you for being part of our call. Tomorrow, Auntie Sylvia is coming on and walking us through that great training that she always does, which has to do with what we do. And then, her mindset change thing and the planner. And then on Wednesday, we have Anne, as always. On Thursday, we have Dr. Nelly with the very powerful lessons that she's been doing on the Prosperity for Your Soul series. Friday, we have our opportunity presentation. So for myself, thanks for being part of this call. Make sure we interact. You can continue asking questions on the page and here, and may God richly increase you guys. God bless you.